So I'll start with that only, and yeah, because other people are not aware of Linux that much, so I'll have to start with the starting. Let us go ahead with that. Let me just share up the screen. Okay, so generally what happens in a Linux-based environment, why do we need to learn Linux? Because again, we are going to use so many DevOps tools right now. So for that, we need at least some hands-on, some, I can say, some respective um, idea exactly how exactly this Linux operating system is used. Once you understand Linux operating system, you'll be in a condition to do any sort of things. So that is what will be covered. So let us start with the session. The first thing which you need to do is you need to go to your AWS account. Okay, once you go into your AWS, now I'll be launching up the virtual machines from here itself, from your AWS account, because that is more sort of easy for me and easy to teach as well. It is more easier to teach upon this virtual machine, which will be again hosted by your AWS. So people who are not aware of AWS, that is perfectly fine. You don't need to be aware of it. Just remember some steps which you need to do to launch up this instance, because this is just a tutorial over Linux. So you don't have to understand anything about, but we need to understand how exactly the things actually are in that before starting with the DevOps part at least, right? So for that part, we'll need Linux. So yeah, let us start with the things. Acha. So first what you need to do is you need to go inside your AWS account. So if you haven't created one, just create one and start using it. It will be free for an year again, so that you're not going to get charged for that. And yes, that is how the things are. So I'll go to launch instance part, and then I'll be going ahead with Linux machine. You have to choose here, so I'm going to choose this one itself, Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Now see, there are actually, let me just open up the paint window. Now there are two types of Linux environments which are present. Okay, the first one is called as your Yum, or let me just write it down as Red Hat Linux Enterprise, which we generally call as RHEL. So we have RHEL, and then we have, let's say, Debian. Now see, what are these things? I told you these are two separate types of Linux environments which are present for your use. Okay, you can either use a Red Hat Linux Enterprise environment, or you can use a Debian server for using or being a Linux. What is Linux? Linux is just an operating system which was brought into picture. Now, to again make the things easy, and why is Linux being used so much in the industries? Because it is very easy to use Linux, as many operations are very easily solved and easily done, and many problems are easily solved as well if you start using Linux. The thing about your Red Hat Linux is that here we use, see, Linux is all about commands only. We'll be using commands to install, we'll be using commands to do whatever things we want to do. Everything will be done once, with the help of commands and commands only. You cannot do anything without using the commands. So what is the difference between Red Hat Linux Enterprise? Now, Red Hat Linux Enterprise was actually, you can say it was, it was launched, it was the original version of Linux. It is more sort of very old, and people have switched to Debian servers. So now your Ubuntu, if you would have used Ubuntu, Ubuntu is based over your Debian part. But this Amazon Linux, or most of the Linux operating systems which were being used in the older days, or the around 3 to 4 years back, they were generally being used in the RHEL. So RHEL is more sort of, you can say, the traditional Linux environment which is used. Okay, so we'll go ahead with Red Hat, because Red Hat is actually very, because you're, again, once you start learning DevOps, you'll be learning DevOps over the Red Hat Linux environment itself. Okay, so that is why I'll be starting with the Red Hat part first. Here, what you generally do is you write down sudo yum command. Okay, whatever command starts, it starts with yum. There is a word yum which will be used. Similarly, in Debian servers, if you would have used Ubuntu, you generally write down apt-get, right? There are these commands which are being used. So sudo apt-get, whatever you want to install, whatever you want to launch, you generally do it with the command which is apt-get command. Achha. Now what you need to understand in this is, let's try to see how exactly this thing goes. So till now I have just given you some certain introduction. I'll go ahead with this one. Let me click upon review and launch. See, the first thing which you need to do is, let's see here, you will be automatically brought down into this window. First you have to go to services tab, then you have to click upon EC2. As soon as you click upon your EC2 part, there you will be transferred to this particular running instances window. So you'll have to click upon this running instances window, and once you are inside this, you will be going for the launch instance. Okay, now in this launch instance part, there you will be shown various options, various types of operating systems, whichever you want to choose for your server to run. So I am going to choose Amazon Linux 2. I'll select it. Let it be T2 micro free tier. Make sure that it is T2 micro free tier only, because it costs very less. Okay, so always choose this one. Now once you are done with this, you can directly click upon review and launch, and then just click upon launch. Either you can create up a new key pair or you can choose an existing key pair here. So I'll go with create a new key pair. I'll go with choose existing key pair. If you click upon create, now see what is key pair. Key pair is again you can say kind of security which was brought upon by AWS. So if you launch up a server, you need a key pair to log into that once you launch it. So you can, if you will always get an option of creating up a new one, but you can click on choose an existing key pair if you already have one. So I already have one, I'll choose that and I'll click upon I acknowledge. Once you're done, you can directly launch the instance up. So now it will take some time for the instance to launch. Let us go to this part and see how exactly the instances are working. Now, as you can see, the state is right now pending. So once the state goes to running, your thing will start running properly. So just give it some 1 minute or 2 minutes and it will start running, and then we'll start with the logging in part. Now you can see the state is running here, right? That's pretty great. So the next thing which you need to install is something called as MobaXterm. So MobaXterm is just a software, just like your putty there. It is used to, get inside or log inside to your server from any other network. Let us install that. So see, I already have this MobaXterm present in my system. You also need to just go to Google. Okay, wait, let me just show you where to install it from. Just go to Google, write down MobaXterm, download. You will see that it will automatically give you an option to download MobaXterm. So you'll go inside it, go for the free version here, and click upon download now. So download the portable edition. Okay, this one, the portable edition. So once you have downloaded and installed MobaXterm, this will be the kind of icon it will be showing you. Click upon it, and let me just delete everything. So now as soon as you go inside your MobaXterm, you will be shown a window like this, something like this. Okay, so click on the session part here, and then go for SSH, because we are going into Linux that actually works over your SSH, secure shell. Yeah, secure shell session. So let's click upon the write down the instance details here. Now generally MobaXterm remote host basically says it asks for the public IP address. If you would have not created any other network, it will automatically go for default network and you will automatically get a public IP. So copy this public IP and paste it here. Now specify the username. For Amazon Linux 2, username is by default EC2 user from AWS. Okay, so they have configured it in such a way that the username always remains EC2 user. Go for, after that you have to go for a private key in advanced settings. Since we already created a key here, so I'll click upon this part. I will search for it. So key.pem file, I'll take it out. Once you are clicking upon the OK part, you will see that you have actually logged into the account using your EC2 user. Okay, so this is how generally the things are again created. Fine. So this is the process of again initiating, or you can say creating up a Linux server. Over that you have to do all sorts of things. Acha. So what we are going to do now, we are going to just look up to certain commands over Linux and yeah, see how exactly this thing works. The first thing which I told you was that right now what happens, if you will see here as well, I have written that in RHEL we generally use yum commands, right? Okay, so that is what we are going to now. We are using RHEL. Amazon Linux 2 is RHEL, so we will be using yum commands in that. Let me create up a new file. Fine. Now try to understand the architecture of Linux first. Um, what generally happens is in Linux, the first thing which comes into picture is a slash. This is the first folder which comes into picture. Now, once you go inside this slash directory, there are certain other folders as well. Okay, let me just list them out here. We have home. Okay, then we have USR, then we have local, then we have certain things are there. You can say something like this. Okay. What generally happens inside the slash, you have these many. Oh, yes. Wait. All these things are present inside your slash directory. That thing we generally call it as the root account. Root account has access to slash. Now see, root account, or you can say the root user actually. The root user, he has the access over slash. He can create up anything over home, user, local, whatever the things are. Okay, and he can delete all the folders. He has all the permissions to do whatever things are there inside these things. Root account, yeah, that is what generally is done. Now let's say that you are certain other user right now, like if you see here, I am the EC2 user, I am on the root. If you are root, it will show you here as root. So remember that part. Right now, let's say I am an EC2 user, so my value will be somewhat here inside the home directory I am present. Okay, and inside this I can do anything. I can do any sort of work, whatever I want to do, but inside my EC2 user, I'll show you that part. Okay, but I cannot change anything. I cannot do anything to home or to user or to local or anything inside slash. Able to understand? That is how generally the thing is. Now see, everything is actually folder in Linux. Your EC2 user is also a folder. Every other thing is a folder. Nothing is, you can say nothing is nothing else. Everything is a folder, whether it is a user, whether it is something else, everything is folder. Don't compare it with Windows. So if there is certain other user apart from EC2 user, then you will have that particular thing here. Let's say I create up a user like um, user 2 like this. Okay, he will be here and he can actually work inside the user 2 part. So inside user 2 will be able to have the access and work as well. This is how exactly the thing goes. Let us just see this. Let us just try to understand this architecture first here. Acha. Before that, I'll just write down certain things here. I'll just write down certain, what shall I say? Let's try to understand each commands one by one and try to understand how it goes. The first thing which you need to generally do is update the system. Okay, whenever you are inside that, you need to update the system. So you'll write down sudo yum update. Why yum update? Because we are using yum commands, right? As soon as you click upon it, it will start updating your system and it will ask whether it is okay or not. You will have to write down yes or no. So for yes, we write down Y. For no, we write down N. I'll write down Y. It will start updating your system. Now try to get a hold of this. Let it just update. Just give some time. Yeah. Now you can see it has been updated and completed. That is why you can see a complete here as well. So let us try to understand this part. So what is the first command which we'll be writing? I'll be writing pwd. What is pwd? Pwd stands for present working directory. What is the current directory over which I am working? So I will say pwd. You can see I am inside slash home slash EC2 user, right? That is the picture here. Inside home, the EC2 user should be there. Inside that, you will be able to do any sort of thing. If you see here, I am EC2 user. Where I am inside the EC2 user. This particular thing, yeah, let me write it down here. How it is written? It is written something like EC2 user at the rate certain numbers at the rate IP, right? IP is of 172 slash 31 slash, let's say 12 slash 91. We don't have to consider the IP. This particular thing means you are inside the EC2 user folder. Okay. Again, why am I writing folder? Because I told you everything you have to consider as a folder. So just consider this EC2 user as a folder only. But actually it is a user. Okay. So now EC2 user will be able to do any sort of work inside this EC2 folder, and this particular sign says that you are inside that EC2 user folder. So see, if I'll try to do any sort of operation, you will be seeing that it is actually working. Acha. At the beginning, your EC2 user looks something like this, just like EC2 user. That's it. Okay, it doesn't has anything in it. Let us try to see something like ls. If you write down ls, I'll write down each command one by one and you'll have to understand how exactly the things are. Now everything is clear, right? Moina and Bhagwan, you're able to get at least an idea how exactly the things are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Moina, you have some experience in Linux already?
I had learned in my college like a bit.
Okay, okay. Fine, let's try to move ahead then. So now you can see that the first thing which I wrote was present working directory, right? So what was the directory given to us? Slash home slash EC2 user, which was exactly matching the scenario which I have described here. Actually, so let me do one thing. Let me just write down each commands one by one. Click upon new. I'll not save the changes. Yep. And I'll make it as 14. Actually, let's make it as 16. Correct. The first command was pwd. Pwd means present working directory. Okay. This is the working directory over which you are working right now. Then the next one is ls. ls means list show. Actually, it is show list, but it has been, you can say, again, it is just reversed here. The card, the way in which it is written is it is reversed. You can consider this as show list. What does it shows? List of files and folders. Got it? This is what your ls stands for. If you will come here, you will see that since you are inside the EC2 user, there is no folder which you have created. There is nothing which you have done, right? So EC2 user is totally empty. What I will do, I will try to go slash now. Okay, hold on. Let me just describe the diagram again here. This slash, right? And here we have home, then we have USR, then we have local, and then we have certain other things. And inside home, what else do we have? Yeah, we have EC2 user. Correct? We have EC2 user inside our home. Now what I will do is, let me just connect this and connect these two things. Yeah. So inside your EC2 user, there is no list of any, there is no folder, there is no files. So that is the reason why we are not able to see anything. But now what we are going to do is we are going to go for slash. We will go inside slash now. From EC2 user, we are going to go to slash. Let's go there. So I'll write down cd slash. Now cd means change the directory. Okay, cd stands for change directory. That is what your cd stands for. Okay. So when do you write a cd command? You generally write down cd and after that you give the folder name. Okay, as soon as you do this, you will be taken to that particular directory or that particular folder. Here also I'm doing that thing. I'm saying the CD after that space, and I'm saying that I should go to root. Got it? So I'll say, chalo, let's go to not root, the slash part, right? Now you are inside the slash here. You can see that this thing has now changed. This symbol has changed. That means that basically you're inside your slash folder. Now if you will write down ls, now you will see that you have bin, boot, dev, etc., home, lib, all these things, right? So this is similar to this one. Wait. Here, I told you right, inside your slash you have home, user, local, all these things are there. So you will see the same things here. Here, home, then you have user, then you have local. So many types of folders are there, right? These are the folders which are there. Acha. So if you will now, if you have to go to, let's say, home, okay, so what will you write? Again, I'll have to change the directory, so I'll write down cd home, isn't it? I'll do that. You will see that now this thing has changed from slash to home. I am inside the home folder now. Okay, now if you will write down ls, you will see that EC2 user is there, isn't it? So I told you that as well, that inside your home there will be an EC2 user. Able to get it? So this is how exactly the Linux works. So I'll again go back to slash. I have listed ls, and you can see that I am getting the list of all the folders or files, whatever files and folders, both the things are present. Okay, you will see that some of the folders here, the folders are actually shown in dark blue and the files are shown in light blue. That is the difference between folders and files. Okay, now the next thing which comes into picture is ls-l. Okay, let me write down that as well. ls-l. Now what is this used for? Show the detailed list. It is going to show you the detailed list now. Detailed list of all the files and folders. So I'll say shows the permissions or ownerships. Now, what do I mean by this statement, permissions on ownership? See, that's what I told you here as well, right? The first thing you need to understand is that every type of user has certain privileges. Okay, there are different types of users, and all types of users have certain privileges. Root account has the privilege to, you can say, create any sort of folder, any sort of thing. Okay, and root account is actually able to do anything. It can, because it is the root account, but not other users. Your EC2 users, they don't have the permission to do anything. They can do anything again inside their own folder, but outside the folder they're not allowed to do any of the any of the, you can say, operations. Okay, that is why that is what you have to actually understand first. That root account has all the accesses, so I'll write it down here as well. Hold on, like this. Access to all files and folders. This is what your root account basically means. Then what is your EC2 user? I will say access files within this EC2 folder itself. Now, what do you mean by access? Access means there are three types of things which you can do with the file, right? You can create a file, you can read a file, or you can operate over it. So I see, let me just write it down. Types of operations which you can do over a file. You can read, you can write, or you can execute. These are the things, or these are the types of operations which you can perform over certain other files or folders. File or folder, I will write it down here. Folder you cannot actually folder you cannot execute, of course, but yeah, you can get the idea here, right? So root account will be able to read, write, or execute any folder, any type of thing. But EC2 user cannot actually, or it has been restricted to certain operations. It can either read all the folders inside the root account, or it can, maybe it will be able to write all the folders, or we can say it can write new files, it can write, or it can create various things if it wants inside the root folders, but it cannot execute. So certain privileges are given to EC2 user. It doesn't mean that EC2 user and root account are the same things. Okay, both of them are different with different permissions. That is what I was trying to tell you. So for now, don't just go into that much. Don't go into these things again deeply. Just try to understand. So, yep. The first thing which I will do is the LSL is showing us the detailed list of permissions and ownerships. That is what your permissions and ownerships are. Now, as soon as you will write down ls-l, you are able to see that this is the first thing it is showing. It is saying that read, write, execute, R for read, W for write, and X for execute. Let me just write that as well. Write it here itself. R for read, okay, W for write, X for execute. This is what your RWX basically means. Now, if you will see it, what do I mean by this? I will say if this thing is readable by the owner, okay, is right. If this thing is writable by the owner, okay, and for execute, you will see that if this thing is executable by the owner. Let us just see it. Now you can see that there are several things here, right? You have read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute for user slash bin. Acha. So for again, this is the file here. This bin is your file. Okay, and total is 16. Basically says that there are over 16 things which are present. The number of items is 16. That is what your total means. And this here, this shows you the number of memory blocks it is taking. The number of memory blocks which is being taken by these many folders or files is being shown here. Okay, this is the date when it was created, when it came into picture, and yep, that's it. So you can see that now there are three types of people as well. Okay, we have users, we have groups, and then we have others. And for that only it has shown the respective permissions here. So it is saying that user will be able to read, write, and execute in the user slash bin, the bin file. Then the groups will also be able to read, write, and execute, and the others people who are not users will also be able to read, write, and execute. So don't go into that much. Just understand that these are the permissions and list of the things which are available. Okay. Fine. Now each of these users here, whatever users you are going to create, whatever users you are creating, or whatever the user is present here, all of them, they have a certain groups. They are belonging to a certain group. So I will say that there is some group like this. Okay. And I will say that EC2 user belongs to this group. Similarly, let's say that there are 10 users which I have created. Okay, so I will say that certain users are inside. Let me just write it down. Let's say user 2 is also there. Then we have user 3. Similarly, what else do we have here? We have EC2, actually not EC2 user. I'll say this is, let's say, root. Then we have user 5. Then we have user 6. Okay, I'm going to call this as group A. And I'm going to call this as group B. Your group A, what do they have? Now your group also have certain privileges. A group in Linux can have certain privileges and permissions as well. How do we, or what do we understand by this part? See, let's say that I am creating up a user and I am pushing it into group A, and then I am creating up user 2 and 3 and I am pushing it into group A. Now this group itself has certain privileges. Let's say the group will be having an option to read, write, and execute any object present or do all sorts of things, right? So these are the permissions which are there, which can be given to a group as well. These permissions can be given to a particular user as well, and these permissions can be generally given to a person who is not in the same group. Now let's say that user 5 here, this person doesn't has. Acha, so I'll create up another user here. So let's say I'll create user 8 like this. Okay. This user, if it is not belonging to any other group or any other thing, this can be termed as others here. Okay. So you have either root, then you have group, and then you have others. Now try to understand. Let me write it down. The first thing which you need to understand, there is something called as owner. The second thing which you need to understand is something called as group. The third thing is others. So whenever you talk about the things, you have to understand there are three types of people: owner, group, and others. For that, owner can have either a read access or a write access or execute access or all three. Similarly, a group also can have read, write, execute access or all three. And similarly, others can also have read, write, execute access or all three. Okay, you can give either one of them or you can give only one of them. That again depends upon you. So this is what exactly the thing is. Now, that is what is being shown here as well. If you go here, you will see that we have three read write x, and read write x. That basically sees that the owner of this user bin, which is root, and root only created these things, right? By default, it is there. The user, or sorry, the owner of this particular file has the access of reading, writing, and executing the file. All the three things are given. Now, the group in which this user is actually present, that also has the read, write, execute access. And the, you can say the others who are not present here, or who are not inside the group, or who is not the owner, that people are called as the others, isn't it? So owner is there, group is there. If root is, let's say group B is the group and root is your owner. So if somebody is not inside the group and he's not the root, then it is called as others. So user 8 will be others, user 2 will be others for this particular file. For these people, what is the access? Read, write, execute as well. So all the types of people can actually read, write, and execute your bin file. Now is everybody able to understand till here? Any doubts? Anyone?
No, we are understanding. It's good.
Okay. Mona, you also understood, right?
Yes, yes.
Good, good, good. This is how exactly the thing goes. Now, yep. So either there is an owner of the particular file or a particular folder, or there is a group in which that particular owner lives, and then there is others. That is the types of accesses available. What does L stands for? L stands for list, D stands for directory. If it is a directory, if it is a folder, that is why it is giving it as D. If it is a file, it gives it as L. Okay. So you can see boot is a folder here, right? Where is boot? Boot is a folder. So for that, it has given it as directory. So this directory is now readable by the owner, readable by the group in which the owner lives, and readable by the you can say others as well. Everybody can read this particular thing. So I am right now an EC2 user, right? And I am not in, I don't know whether I am inside the same group or not as of root. If I am not inside the same group, then I will not be able to, again, then also I'll be able to read it at least. So now here you can see that everything has the same access, right? So whether you are the owner, whether you are the group, or whether you are the, you can say in the others part, you will be able to read and execute. That's it. You cannot be able to write it. That thing is not present only. You can change these permissions as well. It is not defined that these permissions are the final ones. You can change these permissions at any part of time. That is actually fine. But just try to understand the concept here, then you will be able to do anything. Now see, then there is certain thing called as dev here. Dev has read write. It is a directory, again dev. This is a folder here because it is in dark blue. So dev is a directory, and then read write execute permission is given to the owner. Read and execute permission is given to the group in which the root lives, and then read execute is given to the person who is others. So others are the people who are in the same group. So let's say that user 5 and user 6 both are, I'm considering these two are also in the same group as root. Okay, so they will be able to actually read and execute, that's it, because they are in the same group. Now root is the owner, so root will be able to actually do any sort of thing. It can write it, it can read and execute as well. But if someone is, let's say, outside the group itself, user 2, who is not in the same group as root, and this will be considered as the others as well, isn't it? So user 2 is others for root and group B. So this will also be able to read and execute, but not write. Getting it? That is how exactly that permissions are defined here. So this is what the thing is. So now let me just write it down as well. Acha. So I write down if the, or if this thing is writable, or let me get it down as readable, writable, or executable by others. What do we mean by others? Others mean users, not the owner, and not in the same group. This is what this thing is about. Not the point. Then what is here? Here I like to write it down. Wait. Who are these people now? This group. Group in which owner is present. Let me not write this down. If this file or folder is readable, executable, and again writable by all the users present in this group. Similarly, owner. If this file is again readable, writable, or executable by the owner. This is how exactly the thing is done. Acha. Now let me just describe the weights. Okay, what exactly are the weights of all this R, W, X? Now each one of these elements here, R, W, and X, they carry certain weights with them. So let me come here. Let me write down weights of R, W, and X. R, W, X, all the three elements, they have certain weights attached to them. Okay, they are just numbers, which again says how exactly they are. If something is readable, it is given a weight of 4. Okay. Then if something is writable, it is given a value of 2. If something is executable, it has been given a value of 1. Okay. So now if certain thing is having, let us say, privilege of read, write, and execute, what do you will be writing? Writing 4 to 1, isn't it? Achha. Now let's try to do one thing. Let us say there is a file 1. this file one is, or this file one has the read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute kind of option present. So if I write it here, read, write, execute, then read, write, execute, and then read, write, execute. Basically, the owner will be able to read, write, or execute. The others or the groups will be able to read, write, execute. Others will also be able to read, write, and execute. This is the option given to the particular file one here. This is the permission to this file. What you will have to write down. Now, if you just add up all the weights, if I'll add up like RWX as 4 plus 2 is 6 plus 1 7. So 7 can be the maximum amount of permission given. Isn't it? Maximum number to give permission. Right? What you generally do is you say, you generally write down the number like 777. That is equivalent to your read write x, read write x, read write x. Basically, 7 means the owner has the option of read write x. The person who is in the group or the groups have the permissions of read write x. This is why I have written a 7 for group. Then we have 7 for others also. So others are also having the option of reading, writing, and executing. What if I make it as 711? That means owner will have the option of read, write, execute because it is a 7 here. And when will 7 come? Only if you add up all the three things, R plus W plus X. Okay. So that is what I'm doing here. But next time writing is 1 and 1, isn't it? That means that the groups, they don't have the option of reading and writing. They have the option of only executing. That is why I've written a 1 here. So I'll have to write down something like dash dash X. Similarly, again a dash dash X. Basically, dash dash says that you are not giving it the weight for reading and writing. So it doesn't has the permission to read and write, but it has the permission to execute. So like this, you generally try to give the permissions to all sorts of things here. Now, if I will give a permission to this file, let's say something like 400, what does this mean? 400, it means that only the user has the permission to, or sorry, the owner has the permission to read the file. That's it. It doesn't have the permission to write or execute. Similarly, others don't have permissions to write and execute, and like this. Able to get the idea here, everyone? Like this, you can consider it. Yeah. So till now, any doubts? Any kind of doubts coming in your mind? Anyone?
No, it's good. We understood.
Okay. Moina, you're having any doubt?
No, I understood. The one thing is D is for directory, L is for
List.
list. Okay, fine. List as in everything under the root, from the root.
Ha.
Okay.
Fine. So we have read, write, execute. Like this, you generally try to give the permissions. Okay. Acha. So now let's come back here. Right now, where I am inside your EC2. I am as an EC2 user. The username I have been given is EC2 user, and I am working inside the slash, which means that root of or the root accounts folder, which is slash. Let us go inside it. I'll write down CD. I'll go to again EC2 user. Fine. Now, if you write down CD dot dot, now this basically says that you are trying to go to the parent. What is the parent of? What is the parent of EC2 user? Home, isn't it? You will go to home. Write down CD dot dot. You will be transferred to home. Let me write down that as well. CD dot dot takes you back to your immediate parent. That is what your CD dot dot does. Achha. So now let us just try to create certain files in this. Let's say I'll again go back CD. I'll just write down CD. I'll come back here. Now what to do if I want to create a file? Okay, let us try to create a file. Now for changing the file, what you also for creating some file, you just write down vi. After that, you have to give the file name. I'll say file1.txt. Once you do this, you're good to go. You will be taken inside a file. So what is the yes? What is the command for that? Let me write it down here. Okay. Vi file name creates a new file. That is what your file does. Okay, creates a new file. So I'm saying that, yeah, I want to create a file. You can see now what is the matter which you want to write inside your file. For that, you need to write something in this. So directly you cannot write. You have to write down, or you have to press I. I means insert. Now, if you can see, this thing has changed over the bottom here. If you want to insert something, you can insert. Let's say I want to say, hello everyone. This is the thing which I want to insert in my file1.txt. .txt is the type of file which I am creating. Now, once you are done with it, you can press escape. Oh my god, hold on. Cd dot dot it was somehow erased. I don't know why or how. Yeah, vi file name and then what else do we have? We have something like yes, you need to press escape. After that, you need to press colon w. You see here what I'm doing. Now you have written it, right? Now you need to get out of this file, isn't it? You cannot be all the time inside this file. Once you're done with the matter, you need to come out. For that, you need to press escape. You once press escape, you will see that this will be moved from here. The insert word has been removed. Now, if you will press colon WQ, that basically means you are trying to quit from the file. As soon as you press enter, you will be taken back. Getting the point? And return outside. This is what your WQ means. So you are inside it. Now, if you will see, if I will write now where I am, I'm inside my EC2 user, right? And if I right now do ls, what will I be shown? File1.txt, which I have just created right now. So this is inside your file1.txt file, isn't it? Achha. Now see, if you will see here, let me just go to something like, let us go to this etc folder. Okay, let's go to this ECT or sorry ECT or etc folder. Yes. How to go there? Cd dot dot. It will take me to home. Then I can write down cd dot dot again. I'll go to root or sorry the slash part, right? Now I'll write down ls and I'll see that there is etc folder present here, right? Let's go inside etc. So I'll write down cd etc. You're inside etc now. You can see here. You're inside etc. If I try to create up a file here, I will say file1.txt. Can I create the file here? Any answers? Bhagwan, Moina, anybody?
No, I don't think you can create it.
Okay. Why so?
You're not the user of that folder, right? Are you the?
Correct. So let us try to create up this thing. If I write down vi file, what happened? Let's say I am going to write down I'll write down something. I'll press escape colon WQ. And see, I cannot open the file for written or anything. It is not going to get out of it. You're not going to actually create up the things. Getting it? That basically says that you cannot do that because I am not the owner and I am not allowed to do that sort of thing. Okay, let me come. Okay, escape. Way. Getting out is actually very difficult. Yeah, I'll tell you the procedure for that as well. Exactly. So that was the correct answer because see here, once I wrote down LSL, you can see the permissions which have been given for etc folder, right? So for etc, you are saying that the others are not able to, or even the groups, if certain people are present in the same group, they are not have the, they don't have the permission to go and write or create a file here. But if I change the directory, now if I change the user itself, how to change the user? There is a command called as sudo su. Okay, su stands for super user. But again, we'll see those things tomorrow, not today. If I'll change up the thing like this, I'll tell you what sudo and sudo user goes ahead with, super user goes ahead with. You can see that this thing has changed to root. Okay, so now you are the root. You are the root person. You have the root account with you. Now, if you try to go to, or if you try to create up the file, you will be able to create the file. I'll say insert escape wq. Okay, now if you will write down ls here, you will see that a file 1.txt might have been created somewhere. Where is it? EFC file.txt has been created. Able to understand till here, right? Everybody,
Yes.
both of you?
Yeah, yeah.
Good. So that will be more sort of all for today. Now I had to give you the basic idea of how exactly this Linux looks like and how exactly you need to go ahead with it. Okay, so just practice up these certain basic commands for now. Try to understand the architecture. I think you are already understanding the architecture properly. So from tomorrow we'll be seeing how to create up different users, how to create multiple users, how to perform all sorts of operations. Once you are done with that, how to add a user to a particular group, how to use or how to log in through, you can say, um, using a security feature, like if we don't use, or how to log in using creating up our own passwords and log in again into the same root account, or you can say any of the accounts, how to set up the passwords for all the accounts as well. So all those things will be started from tomorrow. We'll be starting from tomorrow. Okay. So till now, just whatever I have told you, understand it. And shortly I'll upload the videos as well. Do not worry. I haven't uploaded the previous video as well. And I'll be doing the same by today. Don't worry. By today, end of the day, you'll get the videos. Okay. Upon your
Okay, one doubt. Everybody can do the sudo su, right? Then anybody can create anything under my.
Sudo is a group. People who are inside that sudo group are able to use it, are able to do certain things. Your EC2 user has been involved in that group. That is why you are able to do it. If you create up another user, try to use the sudo command, it will not work.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay?
Hmm.
Chalo. So that will be all for today, guys. Thank you all for joining up. Happy New Year to everyone once again.
Yeah, same to you.
You too.
Bye.
Same to you.
Chalo, bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah, okay, bye.